A Georgia prosecutor has just been indicted, and many people believe that District Attorney Fani Willis will be next. In fact, there are those who believe that Governor Brian Kemp will keep Fani Willis away from any charges, but we'll get to that a little bit later in today's video. Now, let's talk about Solicitor Stephanie Woodard, or Stephanie Woodard, and her many escapades of using taxpayer money for her personal expenses. Now, some critics even say that she used government funds as a sort of a personal piggy bank so that she wouldn't have to use her own money for these bills. Now, with that being said, do you remember any other prosecutor that may have done something similar? Maybe a district attorney out there in Fulton County who misused almost $500,000 of government grant money? While you guys think about that though, let's check out exactly what Miss Woodard actually spent taxpayer money on. And just to kind of set you guys' expectation from the gate, she classified the purchases of baseball caps for Governor Brian Kemp's reelection efforts as spending on victims or witnesses. This again kind of reminds me of the DA's office, who were given money to spend money on the youth of Fulton County, but instead she wanted to buy swag, computers, and travel. So I guess the idea of corruption out in Georgia is a little bit more of the norm rather than the anomaly. But here's a report talking about Miss Woodard's actions out there. Take a listen.
She's accused of false expense reports and illegal purchases, a pillow and pillowcase from Target, an SAT prep course, cremating a dog. The list goes on. A Hall County grand jury accusing the county's longtime Solicitor General of betraying the public trust, charging Stephanie Woodard with 13 counts of false statements and writings and 11 counts of theft by taking, all felonies. It's a staggering fall from grace by a top prosecutor, but Woodard pushing back in a statement released by her attorneys, saying, "The decision by the Attorney General's office to institute charges against her in this absurd indictment is unfathomable and a waste of court time and taxpayer dollars." Attorney General Chris Carr once on a first-name basis with Woodard, calling in the GBI on her in late 2022. The probe launched after a Fox 5 I-Team investigation discovered thousands of dollars budgeted to help crime victims, instead spent by Woodard on herself or family members. Expensive earbuds, noise-reducing headphones, pillows, jewelry repair, antique shopping sprees, baseball caps for Governor Kemp's reelection efforts, all of it classified in the books as spending for victims or witnesses. She even allegedly spent public money cremating her dog. Rick Farmer from Precious Memories Crematory remembers the $190 expense well. He said that GBI took his statement.
And it was paid to me for her dog.
The I-Team examined almost 2 years of receipts. Our investigation also revealing she spent more than $7,000 on meals for herself and staff, and over $1,400 for an SAT prep course. She blacked out the name of the supposed victim receiving that SAT help.
This shows a kind of callous disregard, not only for her office, not only for her oath of office, but for the people she's supposed to be protecting and helping.
Our reporting also found double dipping involving the Prosecuting Attorneys Council summer conference on Jekyll Island in 2022. Woodard submitted an expense report to Hall County for food and parking, then filed an identical report with the conference organizers, being reimbursed twice.
Now, it took about a year and a half for investigations to show that this public official was basically dipping into taxpayer dollars. Now, I just want to kind of ask you guys, do any of you believe that these officials can ever justify using our money for their own purchases? Because a lot of legal experts are saying that this is completely unprofessional. It's also a very growing concern within Georgia, as we've been seeing corruption over there growing at an alarming rate, guys. But here's something that I realized with this investigation. We're talking about thousands of dollars here, right? And they investigated her because they saw a concern that she was misusing federal funds. So what's the deal with Fani Willis? Well, she has almost complete control over their whole budget, to be honest with you guys. I believe it's somewhere around $30 million or so. Now, that's a lot more than just a couple $1,000s. A whistleblower called her out because of her staff complaining was planning to use almost $500,000 on personal expenses rather than to put up a center for the youth in Fulton County. And she fired that whistleblower, by the way, for telling her the truth. She also paid her ex-lover, Nathan Wade, almost $1 million within about a year or two. Almost 10 times more compared to many other prosecutors that she had in her office. Money that they most certainly used to go on fancy vacations worth. So Stephanie Woodard, she used up thousands of dollars of taxpayer money, and she's facing multiple felony charges. But Fani Willis, somehow she practically can do the same thing multiplied by 10, and nothing happens to her. She's allegedly misused millions of dollars in federal grant money, and she's completely fine. Something just doesn't make sense here. And we should be pretty thankful to Donald Trump's attorney, Ashley Merchant, because she called attention to Fani Willis and Nathan Wade's affair. This pretty much opened up a Pandora's box for the DA's office because essentially revelations came out one after another. It basically took the almost entire spotlight off of Donald Trump's Georgia election interference case and shined that spotlight onto them. Now, while it's true that the investigations they're still being done as we speak, it's a little bit unclear as to why she's still in the office, because there's a ton of evidence out there right out in the open that shows how corrupt she is. I mean, just take the YSL RICO trial, where her team is obviously working with a judge. They're out there intimidating or allegedly intimidating witnesses, and it's the defense team that's being held in criminal contempt. But what do we hear from Fani Willis? Well, she says it's all about race. It's because she's black. And this is about her being a black woman who holds power in Fulton County, and people just can't understand that. Now, when in reality, race never really had anything to do with it. It's always been about her actions and the actions of the people around her. So you got to ask, what's really going on here, guys? Now, we can go back to August last year when Georgia Governor Brian Kemp rejected the GOP calls for a special session to impeach the district attorney. But here's what Kemp said last year. We have a law in the state of Georgia that clearly outlines the legal steps that can be taken if constituents believe their local prosecutors are violating their oath by engaging in unethical or illegal behavior. Up to this point, I haven't seen any evidence that DA Fani Willis's actions or lack thereof warrant action by the Prosecuting Attorney Oversight Commission. Now, this is coming from the governor. So can you believe this guy? I mean, it just really makes you question what's really going on inside these offices. I mean, if a prosecutor who uses up thousands of dollars of taxpayer money can be indicted on felony charges, not misdemeanor, felony charges, then what will the charges be for Fani Willis? I'm not saying that Woodard is innocent at all, but I'm just saying she has to face the consequences of her actions. But if you're going to do something like this, then it should at least apply to each public official within your jurisdiction, right? And so this is why many experts are wondering if Kemp is protecting Fani Willis from any legal consequences. Now, what do y'all think? This kind of reminds me of a previous video I did about the YSL RICO trial of Young Thug in Fulton County. Another case that's showing the true colors of people in office over there. Now, if you guys want to check that video out, I'll leave a link for you guys in the description down below of this video. In that video, I discussed something incredibly shady that the judge did. It is literally being hidden from the public. Now, before I go, guys, I just want to thank y'all for watching. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.